What's going on, everyone? So we got some crazy predictions here by a financial expert. And then we just gonna talk about some stuff in general. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean why I think it's a good thing if next gen consoles get delayed. And then I made that video about Xbox Magnus getting canceled, maybe that may happen or it may get delayed. Hopefully delayed, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure people want that to launch. I always like seeing more things on the market. Just like I would like the Steam machine to launch in its window, but I don't want these prices to be this crazy. So this expert says he thinks next gen console prices could rise by $150 to $200 per unit. So the PS6 could cost over $600. Bro, first of all, before we get to that, the PS6 is always going to be $600 or more. Whoever thought that it wasn't does not know what they're talking about. This dude thought that the PS6 was going to be that cheap. Man, what's wrong with you? No, 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 no. The PS6 by default is going to be $600 plus. You know what I mean? Maybe 700. I don't get how people think that somehow Sony's going to be able to sell something with those type of specs that cheap in this market to begin with. That's not going to be happening, guys. I don't really see that happening. So yeah, if you ask me, I think if the PlayStation 6 is going to go up by $150 to $200, it's going to be probably like $800 or something, or maybe like $850. I think the console could launch around $600 to $700, like regardless. But if there was none of this stuff interfering, obviously Sony would try to target that sweet point, and that would be $600. I mean, you have to think of the price of the PS5 Pro too. They're not going to have that be more expensive than the PS6. It doesn't make sense. Why would anyone buy it? You know what I mean? No, there has to be some method here to where by the time they launch that, they need to get things aligned here. You see what I'm saying? Like, you saying that just shows this guy doesn't understand what he's talking about. Now, if you think about what I said, it makes sense. Like, I don't understand how you're saying that, and it would be that much cheaper than the PS5 Pro. No way, man. Now for the Magnus, there's a lot of people speculating, and I'm gonna tell you right now, when I saw that interview with Bond, and I saw also the interview, some interviews with Phil Spencer, not that much lately, because a lot of people have been doing other things. I don't see the Magnus being anything cheaper than like 1,300, 1,400, maybe 1,500. I think this thing, with the way things are going out, they tried to launch it in this insane environment in 2027 early, even late 2026, which I always thought was a pipe dream. Man, you're talking about $2,000 or 17, 1,800, man. It would just be insanely ridiculous. But there's no way that's happening because they couldn't start manufacturing for that right now. You would know that. They'll try to get that ready. There's no way the Magnus is coming out in late 2026. Anybody who thinks that does not know how this market works. Like I said, that type of stuff is not going to work. It is at early going to be 2027 late, but I don't even think that is going to happen with the way things are getting pushed back with the RAM. You saw what Crucial said. You got Henix, and you got a couple other people, and people stepping down. Then you saw the SSD crisis. With both of those combined together, plus GPU prices going up by AMD, and they all use AMD in the console world besides Nintendo. Why would they launch it in even early 2027? I don't even think late. I think 2028 would be better because then you can start thinking about it when those prices go down. You can start massively manufacturing early 2028 and get it ready for late 2028. I mean, guys, think about this. See, a lot of people are thinking like, oh, but you could just delay it a year. Yeah, but dude, you still have to pay for those parts and make sure it's together and then start massively manufacturing it for a while. That takes like 6 months to do to get things ready. You know, if you want like 1 million or 2, you got to keep massively manufacturing. We saw that Microsoft was moving things out of China over into the Vietnam base. You see what I'm saying? If you're moving things out to the Vietnam base, that's going to take time too. You don't just do that instantly. You have to take some time to get adjusted to that. And then they have to start thinking about the prices of the Magnus parts that they're going to be looking at. That's why I say that, no, there's some starting over here in a lot of things. So that's why I have to explain this to people in this video, because you can't just think because somebody's launching something next year that all of a sudden, if they delay it a year, that gives them plenty of time. No, you have to get those parts way early. So that automatically tells you guys that the Magnus should be 2028 and it shouldn't be 2027 unless Microsoft wants to price you out completely and overpay for parts in 2026 and early 2027. Because I'm telling you right now, the earliest you could think about this thing, if things get better and the bubble pops early, is late 2027. Now for PlayStation 6, Sony could ride this out. They're still selling well. This generation was broken because of Unreal Engine 5, released games, a whole bunch of delays, cancels, and all this crap that happened during the end of that COVID bubble that also ended up popping too, and they had to adjust for that, a bunch of layoffs and all that other garbage that was running. So we get some answers here by realizing that even if Magnus wanted to launch late 2027, I don't see the PlayStation 6 even being close to launching till 2028. And do I think these prices could go up by that? Well, first of all, we need, like, it's kind of hard to gauge what the base price was going to be, but I'm telling you, if the Sony had a sweet spot, it would be $600. But I was thinking $700 because I think by that time they would have dropped the price of the Pro to like $650 or $600, or dropped it way down because they launched their next gen console. You know what I mean? It's like me coming on the market with a PC that's a lot more powerful than the current PC you have now, and I say I'm gonna charge less for the more powerful PC. What are you talking about? You're not making any sense to me. You know what I mean? No, because we're just looking at the specifications, and I'm like, yeah, no, dude, this weaker PC has to be cheaper by the time this more powerful one comes out with next gen technology, GDDR6 memory, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't see how that's going to be happening. $600 is definitely incorrect. Now for the Steam machine, a lot of people were thinking the sweet spot now was $700. I was thinking it would have been $600 if this market wouldn't have been so crazy. And Valve saying they're not subsidized. So we were thinking $700 before all this stuff hit. Steam machine may be $800 plus now. You see what I mean? So I'm counting that as a part of a next-gen release for Valve. Not necessarily for the next-gen consoles like the Magnus and the PS6 because... And even the PlayStation handheld, we need to talk about that. That's also going to go up too because, I mean, if things are like that, it's going to be using some of those parts. And it's in the same ballpark as a PS5 or a little bit more than a PS5, if you know what I mean. As far as Steam Machine, yeah, I put Steam Machine in the ballpark with the Series X technology and the PlayStation 5 technology. You have to. And it's using RDNA 3. It's not using RDNA 4. So the Steam Machine... is going to be affected in all spectrums too because they're using AMD, they're using an SSD, and they're using a RAM. So they're getting hit in all three spectrums as well. I do not see Valve thinking about trying to launch this thing in spring. And what I want to know is if you have to delay the Steam machine, would you delay Half-Life, which is unaffected by parts, because you wanted to launch it all in one Unity? You guys get what I mean? Where it all syncs perfectly. Because I think that's what they wanted. But I think players who, for the most part, I mean, you think about Steam, you're majority on PC and you have been your whole entire life. You're going to say, no, screw that, Valve. I don't want Half-Life 3 to get delayed. Just delay the Steam machine because I can just get Half-Life 3 on my PC like most people are going to want to do on Steam. Because it's going to be a lot more powerful than their Steam machine. So I think that's where Valve is in a crunch right now where they're like, if we do want Steam machine to sell though, I kind of wanted to launch it together with Half-Life 3 and have it on Steam day one. If all that could be at the same time, that would be the perfect sweet spot with Valve. And I think that's what they wanted so they can get the most sales out of the Steam machine. But if they launch Half-Life 3 and everybody gets it to what they want on PC and they launch a Steam machine bundle, I think that would kind of interfere with the way they wanted things to work. If you guys get what I'm saying, like if you look at it from a Valve perspective, it's almost like looking at it in that way. But either way, I mean, all this sucks because I just don't like things being interfered with. It's like you took that time to wait on Half-Life 3. You took that time to wait for Valve to probably give you a console-like experience. And now it's all being interfered with because of this garbage AI feed. And it's stupid, man. I don't like it at all. And another thing I like about the Steam machine is that you're going to be getting something that's not Windows-based. Everybody's hating Windows 11 right now. And the enforcement that they're trying to shove down your throat with the creepy AI systems and all that nonsense. So, you know, that launching in, you know, a really good moment is kind of important, but we're not really getting that, are we? No, we're not. Want to know what we're getting instead? Too much interference. So yeah, guys, I don't know. Now, the prices of the consoles, I think the PlayStation 5 by minimum has to be $700 now. You know what I mean? And if things get crazy, not PlayStation 5, sorry, PlayStation 6 has to be $700 minimum. I don't think $600. Anybody who thought that doesn't know what they're talking about. Same thing with the handheld. Talking about, so it's going to be $399. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? No. Look at the prices of these handhelds now. It's not going to be cheaper than the Switch 2. The PlayStation 5 handheld is going to be like $600. Minimum. You know what I mean? It has to. If you're going to be more powerful than a PS5 or be able to play PS5 games and think about some PS6 games, no way, man. This video is about, it's about putting things more into an intelligent bracket and not listening to people who don't know what they're talking about. I'm telling you, the Magnus is going to be like $1,400, $1,500. It's going to be ridiculous. And a lot of people thinking that it's going to be anything under $1,000, you're insane. No, it's going to be a lot more. And I would say the cheapest back then, if there was none of this going on and Microsoft tried something crazy, the cheapest that you could think about possibly could be $1,000. But now them saying very high end, very premium, even then I was thinking, oh man, maybe $1,300, $1,400, or things are going now $1,500. I'm telling you, something like that. So prepare for that. It's going to be a luxurious Ferrari in the gaming console world. I'm telling you. And the PlayStation 6, Sony is going to strip things down. It probably look like more basic than that alien looking console right there. You know what I mean? To where they could try to get it, and they're going to probably put down the storage a little bit because they're not going to have a choice. And then you're thinking about, man, I hope the SSD prices are good by then because we're going to have these options of wanting to get more SSD storage. Well, that's why I'm saying late 2028, guys, because this stuff will be over with by then. Who cares if things get delayed? Let's get to that, because you had a broken generation. Unreal Engine 5 games, you know how many of those had issues at launch? You know how many games were released to you unfinished? You know how many times developers were taking shortcuts with AI? And now you see AI doing this. I have not seen AI help gaming nowhere near as much as it's hurt it, significantly in general. So you deserved a finished generation, which those next 2 years need to be very strong, and they should not be launching anything until 2028. That's just my take on this. I want you guys to tell me what you think about this, because like I said, if you're going to be getting the generation you deserve, no console or nobody should be thinking about anything coming out to 2028. And just because Xbox had those fallouts does not mean that they shouldn't finish either. No, finish your generation. Make it happy so that by the time you do that, people are saying, well, at least you finished strong and things are a little bit better. Not doing that and then leaving a bad taste in people's mouth. No, don't do that. That's the wrong way to do things because you're not finishing strong. Continue it out and see what happens with GTA and keep your games going. And as far as the Steam machine, yeah, that's the big question. And I want you guys to answer that for me. Do you think Valve would just delay the Steam machine and launch Half-Life in the window that they wanted? Or maybe that was all speculation. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm hoping that if Steam machine gets delayed too much, just go ahead and launch Half-Life 3. You'll be all right. But hey, if they want that thing to kind of be successful at the beginning, I think they kind of want to bundle it together. So yeah, that's my take. Let me know what you guys think. I had to correct this because this is 100% off. Now, as far as this is concerned, I don't know. If you move things into the 2028 bracket, hopefully that pops in 2027 or maybe before that, and you need to start getting your parts in 2028. Otherwise, man, you guys see what I mean? You can't just do that and not think that you don't need those parts earlier. That's why I had to explain that to you guys. It takes time. And Microsoft needs even more time because they're putting their base in Vietnam. So they have to start things over there and get things going fresh there. Then think about the prices after that's done. You can't just start whipping it all together out of nowhere. And then they're going to have to fight with other people in those territories who are getting parts as well. And it's always AI data priority, definitely when it comes to Microsoft. You saw what Satya said. So guys, think about those things. All right. Peace out. Have a great day.